Hey everyone, how's it going? Phil Monteleone, the Book Peddler here. If you haven't, I hope you like and subscribe to my YouTube channel, The Book Peddler. Doing something a little different today, taking you on a walk with me in my old stomping grounds. This is where I grew up, and I love being out here. Nice woods, it's gorgeous weather, and it's getting colder at night, so the summer's pretty much over. In upstate New York, weather gets pretty bitter cold, and I ain't built for that, that's for sure. But anyhow, I do book reviews, or been attempting to. Without the ability of an editor, it's a little bit difficult to do. So I said, you know what, this book that I read by John Burroughs is appropriate to be out in the elements anyhow. He was a naturalist writer, and many of my customers that I respect, that are well read, always have referred his work to me. I just never had a chance to really explore it much, and then I had a chance and I couldn't put the book down. It was wonderful. The title that I read was Locusts and Wild Honey, and Burroughs was from the Catskill region. Someday I'd like to go see his house. But what happened was, in one of my earlier videos, I showed that I happened upon a very large volume set of Burroughs, and I basically made the purchase, and was at a fellow book owner's store, and hadn't been able to put it down. So I'm gonna find myself, I'm walking down my old road. I'll show you from my angle. It's beautiful out, but I figure I'll find a spot in the woods here, set up a little tripod. I'm walking with my tripod in the book, and give you a little insight into Burroughs' writings, and maybe you'll enjoy it as well, and then go from there if you'd like to read them. So I'm gonna find a spot. This area is actually where I learned how to play harmonica, and I'd go off into the woods and jam out for myself. Probably sounded like a distressed animal. One time, I'll tell you a story where I found my spot. I was having a fire in the woods, and I came across, well, I couldn't see it because it was a little out of my eyesight range. It was outside of the fire, and it was a bobcat, and he was screaming at me, and I happened to have been playing the harmonica. I say he must have thought it was like a rabbit that was injured. So scared the heck out of me. If you look up angry bobcat sounds, it is the nastiest sound I've ever heard. I've run into it twice out here. So anyways, that put a chill down my spine, I promise you that. But I'm gonna find a spot down here to sit, taking on a walk with me and John Burroughs. I think that's what I'll title the video. Alright, so I found my spot, and sitting on a stump here out in the woods. Hopefully something comes up behind me. Well, maybe you'll see a mauling in progress. Let's hope not. But anyhow, this is the title by Burroughs. It's probably backwards in the screen. But what a wonderful book. Burroughs was just absolutely immersed in the nature and the beauty around him. He writes so poetically. It was so enjoyable reading him. His experience and observations on the world, they're very descriptive. They're not exhausting though. They're romantic, but he's not deceiving. It's just authentic, simply detailed, enough so that the reader feels a strong connection with each topic. I know I did. It really pulled me in. I had difficulty removing myself from the book, which is excellent. I think, what was it, Burroughs used to be around a lot of famous people too. He'd take out into the woods, so kind of neat. But the imagery that he presents, very lively. It's hard to escape. I read through each chapter without hesitancy. Even when he was speaking fondly of something such as camping out in the woods, he doesn't neglect to mention the unappealing aspects of it all, like a cold, rainy night, you know, that really soak through your clothing, and you'd wake up real miserable. And you know, it's just very authentic, and I loved it. And, you know, like I've looked through different nature guides in everything. And I mean, I'm not knocking nature guides, but they just kind of brief you in technical aspects. And but with Burroughs, he goes just much deeper. It's not dry or stale like a standard nature guide. Now they're excellent for reference and everything to use. Don't get me wrong, and it gives you valuable information. But Burroughs, just through his intimate experience with nature and in his encounters, he gives a reader a different understanding and a greater appreciation to the details, the behaviors, the whys, the hows, the reaction to the things, the movements, the mystery of nature and its interactions. And so anyhow, very poetic guy. I was going to read to you a couple paragraphs in this book. There's a chapter that he does, it's the second chapter in here, and it's called Strawberries. And he's describing the essence of the strawberry and the time of year it comes in season. And I'll read you 2 paragraphs. I just thought it was so great how he illustrates it with his words. So let me get to the second chapter here. I tab things out. But here we go. This is on the wild strawberry. Let me not be afraid of overpraising it, but probe and probe for words to hint its surprising virtues. We may well celebrate it with festivals and music. It has that indescribable quality of all first things, that shy, uncloying, provoking, barbed sweetness. It is eager and sanguine as youth. It is born of the copious dews, the fragrant nights, the tender skies, the plentiful rains of the early season. The singing of birds is in it, and the health and frolic of lusty nature. It is the product of liquid May, touched by the June sun. It has the tartness, the briskness, the unruliness of spring, and the aroma and intensity of summer. How beautiful, huh? I'll read the next paragraph. Oh, the strawberry days, how vividly they come back to one. The smell of clover in the fields, of blooming rye on the hills, of the wild grape beside the woods, and of the sweet honeysuckle in the spire about the house. The first hot, moist days, the daisies and the buttercups, the songs of the birds, their first reckless jollity and love-making over, the full tender foliage of the trees, the bees swarming and the air strung with resonant musical chords, the time of the sweetest and most succulent grass, when the cows come home with aching udders. Indeed, the strawberry belongs to the juiciest time of the years. What a gorgeous way to put this. I thought so anyhow. I just so enjoyed it. Then in another chapter, Burroughs is talking about the rain. Let me see where I got it marked down at. It's page 79. Let's see. There was one description here though there's one description that he did that I got such a kick out of, and it just illustrates further his poetic ability when describing something. It says, the tree and its fruit are like a sponge which the rains have filled. I love these descriptions. They're so enjoyable. And on page 79 here, it was the wordplay that I admire. Simple but just perfect in a description. The slumbering and liquid trees. What a beautiful way to put it. The trees, that's what Walt Whitman said, excuse me. He says, the trees and its fruit are like a sponge which the rains have filled. Through them and through all living bodies there goes on the commerce of vital growth, tiny vessels, fleets and succession of fleets, laden with material bound for distant shores, to build up and repair and restore the waste of the physical frame. Then the rain means relaxation. The tension in nature and in all her creatures is lessened. The trees drop their leaves or let go their ripened fruit. The tree itself will fall in a still damp day when but yesterday it withstood a gale of wind. A moist south wind penetrates even the mind and makes its grass less tenacious. It ought to take less to kill a man on a rainy day than on a clear. The direct support of the sun is withdrawn, life is under a cloud. A masculine mood gives place to something like a feminine. In this sense, rain is the grief, the weeping of nature, the relief of a burdened or agonized heart. But tears from nature's eyelids are always remedial and prepare the way for brighter, purer skies. It's gorgeous. I'm going to keep reading, actually. I think rain is as necessary to the mind as to vegetation. Who does not suffer in his spirit in a drought and feel restless and unsatisfied? My very thoughts become thirsty and crave the moisture. It is hard work to be generous or neighborly or patriotic in a dry time. And as for growing in any of the finer graces of virtues, who can do it? One's very manhood shrinks, and if he is ever capable of a mean act or of narrow views, it is then. They're talking about drought. What a guy, though. Now, there was a description that Burroughs does on the speckled trout and his love and appreciation of a good trout stream. I love going trout fishing. This year, I did a lot of bass fishing with a buddy of mine. Didn't catch very much, but it's just being out there is what's nice. Just like for me, what reading does help level me out and ease my mind, so does going for walks and exploring new areas. It does wonders. It's so therapeutic, and if you're not able to do it, it's a real shame. You absolutely should. I don't need to tell you that. It's kind of well known, I figure. But so let me get to the speckled trout page here. And later in this chapter, the romanticism of Burroughs, I'm going to show you how he gets here. But let me read this. As he comes upon a trout stream. Then what acquaintance he makes with the stream. He addresses himself to it as a lover to his mistress. He woos it, and stays with it till he knows its most hidden secrets. It runs through his thoughts, not less than through its banks there. He feels the fret and thrust of every bar and boulder. Where it deepens, his purpose deepens. Where it is shallow, he is indifferent. He knows how to interpret its every glance and dimple. Its beauty haunts him for days. What a gorgeous line. I am sure I run no risk of overpraising the charm and attractiveness of a well-fed trout stream. Every drop of water in it as bright and pure as if the nymphs had brought it all the way from its source in crystal goblets, and as cool as if it had been hatched beneath a glacier. I mean, he just goes on, and it's so, I love the way this man writes, and I think anybody out there that's an outdoors person and has never discovered Burroughs is going to undoubtedly enjoy this book. Here's where he gets a little bit romantic again here. Let's see here. And it's about the trout, speckled trout. Again, he's writing on. But I early learned that from almost any stream in a trout country, the true angler could take trout. And that the great secret was this, that whatever bait you use, worm, grasshopper, grub, or fly, there was one thing you must always put on your hook, namely your heart. When you bait your hook with your heart, the fish always bite. They will jump clear from the water after it. They will dispute with each other over it. It is a morsel they love above everything else. With such bait, I have seen the born angler, my grandfather was one, take a noble string of trout from the most uncompromising waters, and on the most uncompromising day. He used his hook so coyly and tenderly, he approached the fish with such address and insinuation. He divined the exact spot where they lay. If they were not eager, he humored them, and seemed to steal by them. If they were playful and coquettish, I don't know that word, but he would suit his mood to theirs. If they were frank and sincere, he met them halfway. He was so patient and considerate, so entirely devoted to pleasing the critical trout, and so successful in his efforts. Surely his heart was upon his hook, and it was a tender, unctuous heart, too, as that of every angler is. How nicely he would measure the distance, how dexterously he would avoid an overhanging limb or bush and drop the line exactly in the right spot. Of course, there was a pulse of feeling and sympathy to the extremity of that line. If your heart is a stone, however, or an empty husk, there is no use to put it upon your hook. It will not tempt the fish. The bait must be quick and fresh. Indeed, a certain quality of youth is indispensable to the successful angler. A certain unworldliness and readiness to invest yourself in an enterprise that doesn't pay in the current coin. Not only is the angler like the poet born and not made, as Walton says, but there is a deal of the poet in him, and he is to be judged no more harshly. He is the victim of his genius. Those wild streams, how they haunt him. He will play trout to dull care and flee to them. Their waters impart somewhat of their own perpetual youth to him. My grandfather, when he was 80 years old, would take down his pole as eagerly as any boy and step off with wonderful elasticity toward the beloved streams. It used to try my young legs a good deal to follow him, especially on the return trip, and no poet was ever more innocent or worldly success or ambition. For to paraphrase Tennyson, quote, lusty trout to him were scrip and share, and babbling waters more than cent for cent. It's beautiful. I'm going to finish this. He laid up treasures, but they were not in this world. That's a beautiful line. Ain't that the most... In fact, through the kindness of husbands, I fear he was not what the country people call a good provider. Okay, so now he's going into who his grandfather was a little bit. Beautiful lines. I think you would agree. I got about 10 more minutes on the time here. I hope you're enjoying my review, and I'll just say, if you're still watching at this point, I hope you like and subscribe to my channel. And if you do enjoy this video, please do let me know, and I'll continue to make some more. Very new to me that I'm doing it like off the cuff like this. But, hey, why not? It's my channel. I'll do what I want, you know. So I hope you enjoy it, though. Maybe I won't do too many more if you don't like it. But, so here's another one. And again, this to me is just showing how much more Burroughs' writing is more than any nature guy could hope to be. And I'll read you his observations on the kingfisher, and this is in a chapter titled The Halcyon in Canada. And apparently Halcyon, Halcyon, is another word for kingfisher. I never knew that. But I believe I'll see what I mean when it's not trivial factoids being talked about, but a description that just embeds itself within your head. So let's start. The Halcyon or kingfisher is a good guide when you go to the woods. He will not ensure smooth water or fair weather, but he knows every stream and lake like a book, and will take you to the wildest and most unfrequented places. Follow his rattle, and you shall see the source of every trout and salmon stream on the continent. You shall see the lake of the woods, in far-off Athabasca and Abitibi. And this is when he's in Canada. These are Canadian places, I'm almost positive. And the unknown streams that flow into the Hudson's Bay, and many others. His time is the time of the trout, too, namely from April to September. He makes his subterranean nests in the bank of some favorite streams, and then goes on long excursions up and down and over woods and mountains to all the waters within reach. Always fishing alone, the true angler that he is, his fellow keeping far ahead or behind, or taking the other branch. He loves the sound of a waterfall and will sit a long time on a dry limb, overhanging the pool below it, and forgetting his occupation, brood upon his own memories and fancies. He really kind of anthropomorphizes the animal, you know. The past season, my friend and I took a hint from him. So he talks about his experience with following this bird. And again, deeper than any nature guide will give you, the little intricacies, however you say it, you, I believe, would know what I'm talking about. But the intricateness, there you go, of an animal or observing something in nature, he really gets deep into it. And actually, here's a little, in my book, there's a picture of the belated kingfisher right there. See, that is beautiful. Anyhow, you know, to basically close this out, John Burroughs has just turned into one of my favorite authors. Generally, I don't read a lot of naturalist writing. I have appreciation for it. And now with him, I believe he was the father of what was it with nature? What do they call them? Conservatism or I can't remember the word. Where they preserve the environment, you know what I'm saying? Starts with a C. Conservationist. There you go. Look at that. Okay. And he'd be a really fascinating man, I'm sure, to meet and to sit and talk with. So anyways, I think that's all I got to say about this book. A quick review. All in all, I really enjoyed it. I look forward to reading more of John Burroughs. I hope you enjoyed this review. I wanted to pull direct words from his book and give you that idea and understanding. So, yeah, I'm in my woods. Show you around a little bit. And I really love it out here. I thought about doing it in my parents' field where I pick blueberries and blackberries and stuff, fill buckets of them. It's so gorgeous up in these woods. I really enjoy it up here. But okay, everyone, I hope you liked the video, and please like and subscribe to my YouTube channel, The Book Peddler, for more videos like this, maybe. And thanks for coming on a walk with me, and we'll see y'all later.